And I want to talk about. This sucks that I don't have my pictures ready. I feel like a loser for not having my pictures ready. Walmart. I actually went to my Walmart today. That's where I got Dragon Quest Builders 2. Walmart has made this announcement that they are going to ban violent imagery from the stores. Someone gift you Senran Kagura. AR, you're welcome to. I don't really play Steam. I don't play games on my PC as much. I miss the old days of physical copies on PC. Walmart has announced that they are going to ban violent imagery. I have this article here from NPR. So they break it down a little bit. The company said it would remove all signs, displays, or videos that depict violence from its stores in an internal memo. I have the memo here. I actually have the memo here. If it's all right, I want to read what's going on. I want to read what's going on in this memo. This is a memo to immediate action. This is like an internal memo. Immediate action: remove signing and displays referencing violence. Review your store for any signing or displays that contain violent images or aggressive behavior. Remove from the sales floor and turn off these items immediately. Use your best judgment. What do I need to do? Turn off these. There are 6 bullet points here. Turn off or unplug any video game display consoles that show a demo of violent video games, specifically PlayStation and Xbox units. Anderson merchandisers will be in your store to update these demo units within the next week. So basically, there's a company that's going to show up and take out the violent video games. Cancel any events promoting combat style or third-person shooter games that may be scheduled in electronics. Verify that no movies depicting violence are playing in electronics, which is always like nature scenes anyway, because that shows you the quality of 4K TVs. Turn off any hunting season videos that may be playing in sporting goods and remove monitors or displays that show the videos. I don't live in a hunting area, so that's not something that I've ever seen. Check all signing throughout the store and remove any referencing combat or third-person shooter games. And then the last bullet point's like for assistance or something. Never shooting. Yeah. Why are video games always? Yeah, it's very video game specific. They do mention movies and such. AR, yeah, it's scapegoating. This is scapegoating. This is a knee-jerk reaction to a weekend of horror, and they want to put out the impression that they're doing their part, and I can understand that. Here's the problem. Here's the biggest problem. They still sell guns. They're taking out violent images. They don't want any violent video games on display. They don't want any violent movies on display. They don't want hunting. And that's another gag. They don't want hunting videos on display. And there's a reason specifically that is very funny to me. They're still selling guns, and they sell guns of all kind. They sell shotguns and rifles and handguns. The only gun that Walmart could realistically be selling, should realistically be selling, are rifles. Because for the most part, rifles are what you use to hunt. I've never heard of a hunter that uses a handgun, and you could justify shotguns when you talk about small game, when you're talking about hunting birds and things like that. You could justify a shotgun. So the only reason Walmart should be selling guns at all is for hunting. And that's only in specific areas where hunting is a big deal. But they're also banning hunting videos in this memo. So, according to them, even hunting isn't a justifiable reason to be showing guns. So, on this vein, you shouldn't be selling guns at all. This is almost blatantly saying we think it's the imagery and not the guns. And this is not a debate about gun laws. I am not getting into that here. That is a gigantic discussion that we could not even cover in a full episode. This is about the idea. First of all, this is about the concept of scapegoating. Hold on. It's always been F scapegoat. But what I find is the most hypocritical. Violent video games and adult video games are bad, but selling guns and Twitch thoughts are all right. Makes no sense. Well, here's the thing. Violent. Hey, Straight De Niro, what is going on? You can't show violent imagery. All right, so then you can't show the news because the idea is that you don't want to show anything that glorifies violence. But later, Cassidy, have a good one. But the news is filled with violence. The news is full of it. So you're telling me that if you went into Walmart and they had the news on, that would be against the rules. You say that you don't want any violent imagery. Are all the movies going to be turned around on the shelves because some of the covers might have a person shooting a gun or driving a car? And are we talking about gun violence or all kinds of violence? Because if there's two people on the cover punching each other, that's violence. It's so nonsense. It's the biggest load of crap, especially from from a company who is also still selling guns. That to me is the most hilarious part. Yeah, meaning you would have to get rid of a lot of stuff. And there was one more thing. Hold on. There was one more thing. We've taken, again, this is from the NPR article. We've taken this action out of respect for the incidents of the past week, spokeswoman Tara House told the Associated Press on Friday. In a statement to USA Today, she added, and this action does not reflect a long-term change in our video game assortment. So basically, they're removing all of this imagery, but they're still going to sell the same games. And they want you to know, they want to make sure that you know, we're still going to carry the violent games, but because they're obviously not that dangerous, but they're too dangerous to show you. It's ridiculous. It's just nonsense. I'm so frustrated at my hobby being scapegoated when the real issues are out there, and this is not one of the real issues. I don't think that it's one of the real issues. Like I said, this is not going to be a gun reform discussion or anything like that. Somebody asked if I think that it's mental illness. Yeah. Yeah. Do you believe? Dan asked. Do you believe guns to be the issue of mental illness? I don't. I believe it's a lot of things. I believe it is mental illness. I believe it is poverty. I believe it is stress. I believe it's the weather. I think that on an extremely hot day, people are more likely to commit violence. I believe there is a socioeconomic status, the status of the world around you. Yes, I do also believe it's guns. I believe that it's the ability to get guns that is a problem. I think that they are all together. If there was one simple fix, it would be easy to do. The reason this is such a problem is because it's not a simple fix. And the idea of chasing down these things as the one all fix for everything, that's the problem. You want to know, you want me to pick a problem? You want me to tell you where I think the source of gun violence is? I'll tell you exactly where I think it is. It is in the fact that there are multiple issues to it, and no one wants to treat it that way. No one wants to acknowledge that the problem is bigger than just one problem. It is the same thing with anybody trying to quit drinking. Whenever you hear like the drinking or drugs, Alcoholics Anonymous and all of that stuff, the first step is to admit that you have a problem. you're not admitting to the correct problem. When you say it's just because we have too many guns on the street, it's just because of mental illness, it's just because of violent video games. When you say all of these things, you're missing the point. You're missing it. You're not admitting to the real problem, and the real problem is that the scope of all of this is greater than just one issue. It is multiple issues, and it needs to be tackled in the proper way. Yeah, many of these guys don't have psychological profiles. You can't identify them. Yeah. Dr. Juice. Like I said, that's why I'm saying it's multiple things. A lot of these people aren't mentally ill. A lot of these people are living their life just like normal. And then society is changing in such a drastic way that it doesn't work for them. And it causes them stress, and they need to figure out how to fix it. And then what they do is they look at the world telling them what the problem is. That was the whole thing with this El Paso guy, where he wrote all of this stuff about Trump and all of this stuff, and all the people coming into the country or whatever. This is a guy who could very easily have been racist his whole life, and at the same time could probably not have been racist his whole life, but eventually went through some problems, needed somebody to blame, turned on the news, saw who they were blaming, saw who the president of the United States was blaming, and said, there's the problem I'm going to focus on. Could have never had a mental problem in his life, but he was stressed, and he needed to do something so that he felt like he was in control, and that's how it happened. And that is, I don't know if that's exactly what's going on here. I don't know if that's exactly what the situation was. But the fact that it sounds extremely viable is a problem. When I say that society has him so stressed that he felt like this was the only thing he could do, when I say that, it should sound like I'm making up a crazy story. And the problem is that it doesn't sound like I'm making up a crazy story. It sounds like I'm giving a very understandable explanation as to what happened, and that's a problem. Yeah, AR, you're right. That's another issue. It's everything that needs to be done. You don't need to get rid of video games. You're never going to get rid of mental illness in any capacity whatsoever, whether it's high levels of mental illness or low levels of mental illness. You're never going to get rid of that. You're at this point, I feel like you're never going to get rid of guns. You're never going to get rid of any of these things, but they all need to be handled in a certain way. Yes, I don't believe that video games are the cause of mass shootings or gun violence. But I do think that a 4-year-old should not be playing Call of Duty. There are points where you need to, when it comes to video games specific, I'm going to try and keep this back to video games. When it comes to video games specifically, there are lines that you need to draw as to what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, what you should be doing and what you should not be doing. The idea of saying, well, video games don't cause anything, so we shouldn't worry about them. I don't know about that. I don't know that a video game should be allowed to show a rape. I don't know that video games should be allowed to show murders that look very realistic and then sold towards children. There are lines that need to be drawn, just like in the movies, just like in TV shows. In all honesty, just like in the news. I don't like the idea that they can show a bunch of dead bodies on the news and say, oh, well, it's the news. Maybe some people are sensitive to that sort of thing. There has to be a line that you need to draw. Yeah, video games shouldn't be singled out. But neither should movies, neither should TV shows. Everything contributes. Everything contributes. Everything is part of it because human beings are everything. Human beings absorb the world around them, and that's a part of who they become. The bigger issue then rises in the people talk about how it's still one of the smaller. Hold on. One of the smaller causes of death in the U.S. Oh, yeah, Lilac. That was that Neil deGrasse Tyson thing. He's losing a lot of my respect. You get Times Square where a motorbike backfired and caused mass panic. A guy walked into Walmart in Missouri in body armor, tons of ammo and a rifle, and immediately got arrested before anything could happen. People are so on edge constantly, and not just Americans, but the whole world when they visit. And Lilac, that New York video I saw, for anybody that did not see that video, there was a motorcycle that backfired in Times Square, and the video was of people running for their lives, and not just running for their lives. Go back and watch the video, as sad as it is to watch. There are not just people running for their lives. There are people cowering in fear. I remember there's one spot where there's somebody like laying flat on the ground and then another person shielding them. Like, it's the post that I saw that video on was what it said at the top, and it had hundreds of thousands of likes and retweets, and it was the perfect way to say it. It was the perfect way to frame it. It said, this whole country has PTSD. And that's what it is. Oh, what do you mean backfire? Latimer, it's like an engine thing where it backs up and then it fires a shot of exhaust at once. So it's a very, very loud noise. And that's what happened in Times Square, but people thought it was gunfire. And nobody questioned whether it was gunfire. They weren't saying, like, what was that? They ran for their lives. They cowered in fear. It is a symptom of PTSD. I knew somebody who, and I won't say who they are. I knew somebody who was in, they were in the Middle East for a while in the military, and they were there for like a year and a half, 2 years. When they came back home for like a month, they couldn't drive. They were having trouble driving. Somebody else had to drive them because they would drive down the road and see like a plastic bag. You know, it's trash. You see it. We see it all the time. You drive down the road. There's somebody threw a plastic bag out and it's got stuff in it, and it was sitting by the side of the road. He was so traumatized by the fact that over there, that could easily be a roadside bomb, that it was a while before he was able to drive. That's post-traumatic stress disorder. It is the thing that happened to him before, or could have happened before, affecting him so badly that he was unable to function. And when you go to Times Square with your family and you are hanging out and you're taking pictures and you're having a good time and you hear a loud noise and you cower for your life, that is stress. That is traumatic stress that you're feeling, that you're holding on to 24 hours a day. And the second something happens, it comes out. Yeah, Lizard, it's a downer, but you know, this is the stuff that has to be talked about sometimes. Yeah, it's sad. And it's sad to have our hobby blamed for it every single time. It's sad to go to the store and buy a video game and think that somebody's going to be looking at you. If I'm standing in line with the Call of Duty game, that someone could potentially be looking at me and thinking, oh, well, he's probably training for something he's going to do. That's heartbreaking. I mean, quite frankly, if you see me buying a Call of Duty game, I'm probably being kidnapped, and that is me trying to signal you for help. Yeah, because Call of Duty is not my deal. Yeah, it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating over and over again. And I wanted to talk about it, and at the same time, I talk about it because it is topical. But I do like to talk about that stuff. It is stuff that we have to. Yeah, people do that when I buy Singer and Cucker kids. I know I skipped some. A line should be made, but overall context matters. I feel the problem is that where we are right now, that we have right now, is that there's a lot of chaos and confusion. Yeah. At this point, no one's going to... This is probably not the point where we're going to be making rational decisions. So maybe take a step back a little bit and figure out what the real culprit is. Let's let the people decide what is and is not contributing to the situation at hand. whatever that situation may be. Let the actual populace decide. Don't let the lawmakers decide for you what the problem is, because the lawmakers are going to skew it in their favor. They're always going to do that. But I do want to change topics, because whether or not we actually have to talk about this stuff, it is kind of depressing. So sorry for the Lizard. I apologize for the Transformers G1 transfer noise. I know that you hate that show now. Yeah, I know it's a bummer topic, but we have to talk about it. But let's get on to a more cheery topic here. We're gonna talk about something a little more lighthearted. 50 managers lost their jobs at GameStop. I don't mean to laugh, and I'm not actually laughing at that. Real edgy, rating with a party of 2. Welcome. Welcome to the discussion. Wrong side, motherfucker. I don't know what you were playing, but I always hope to be on the correct side, which is the right side. But no, GameStop has, as part of their restructuring, they are, as like getting a promotion, they have let go 50 of their regional managers. They have this memo that they put out, and they're letting go of 50 of their regional managers. The only thing I'm not sure of, and someone maybe could help me out here, I don't know if Linky's around, what is the scope of a regional manager? Is this somebody that oversees 50 stores, or is this somebody that oversees 3 stores? I would imagine that they are doing this not necessarily as a cost-cutting measure, because this can't possibly be saving them that much money, considering, I'm on The Gamer. According to this article, this follows GameStop's reported $673 million loss for last fiscal year. So I don't think firing 50 regional managers is going to fix $673 million loss, unless they were getting paid a lot of money. But so I have the memo here. It is a lot of legal speak, so I'm probably not going to read the whole memo. I'm going to read the part that is most important. Unfortunately, with these changes, there are more than 50 field leaders who have been impacted and will be leaving the GameStop team. This includes regional, district, HR, and LP leaders. These leaders will be missed, and we wish them success in their future endeavors. All right, so first of all, they're not leaving, you're firing them. There's a difference between I left the house and you kicked me out. You're kicking them out. So let's, right off the bat, let's get on with that. Their severance is in $13.85 in GameStop store credit. Yeah, but Lizard, that's before tax. They'll get $14.25 if they sign up for a pro players reward card. Yeah, LP leaders. Oh no. Yeah, I wasn't aware that GameStop did LPs, but whatever. GameStop's financial troubles. This whole article is a bunch of blah blah blah. This comes a month, if even? No, like 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks. Well, let's call it a month after they have discussed restructuring. They want to restructure their image to earn a place in gaming society, I think is what the article said before, in gaming culture. So they got a new manager. They got a new I don't know, CEO or whatever the position is. This guy that worked at like AutoZone or something. I'm hoping it's just a guy that worked at AutoZone, not a corporate AutoZone person. I think it was AutoZone. But they got him, and then they started making these moves. Now they're doing this thing where they want to restructure the stores to earn their place in gaming culture, and then they do this thing with the regional managers. I'm assuming it's all together. I'm assuming it's all related. But it seems strange, and yet another bad sign, that they're making moves faster than they can see if these moves work. I feel like this firing the regional managers thing is not a new idea. We're only just finding out about it now. But you just had this big discussion about how you're going to restructure the stores so that they earn their place in gaming culture. How do you know you're not going to need the leadership of these people in order to do that? You don't know what the scope of these changes are going to be, because they're talking about different stores doing different things. I would imagine that you need these regional people to help control which stores do what things. You're going to need their input, possibly. It's just yet another bad sign that they're sinking faster than they can bail water out, and it's unfortunate. Yeah, hey Fox, we both use the boating reference. If GameStop goes out of business, does this mean we'll see less physical copies of games in general? Rocky, that is one of my biggest fears. One of my biggest fears about whether or not, because I hear people say, yeah, like Shattuck says, GameStop does have a place in the trash. I hear that all the time, where we don't need a GameStop, and GameStop is garbage anyway, so who cares? Good riddance. The problem is that gaming needs a face. Gaming needs a main face. Yes, you can go buy video games at Best Buy and Target and Walmart, but they're not the face of video games. Gaming needs a storefront. It needs a name that is synonymous with video games to help keep video games fresh in people's minds. When grandma goes to the store at Christmas time, she needs to know that there is a store that she can go to, because the store is going to possibly have more stuff. Target's not going to have 500 copies of a game. GameStop is. I usually go to GameStop to get my game. A lot of people do. A lot of people will go to GameStop. I go to Walmart because Walmart has them for cheaper, but I rarely buy brand new games anyway. But I go to GameStop and check out their used games all the time. PS3, PS4, Wii U. I have to go back and look for DuckTales now. As much as we harp on GameStop is the last face of gaming in the brick and mortar scene. Nothing else is as popular, as well known. Nothing else is known for it. So they're important. So it's sad to see them struggling like this when they could be more. They could be much more, and they have the potential, they have the name, and they have the resources to do spectacular things and become a positive culture, subculture within gaming. They're talking about turning them into retro stores. They're talking about turning them into esports venues. When we talked before, we talked 2 weeks ago with Linky, who works at GameStop. I think it was 2 weeks ago. And I mentioned the idea of getting arcade machines and turning that in, turning some of the larger ones into a social area where, we don't have arcades anymore. So take some of the larger GameStops and turn part of the store into that. Put some machines in there. Turn it into a destination where people want to go to, not the place where you walk by and maybe you stop in and get a game. Turn it into a destination. You have the ability to do this with this place, but they're not. They're just they're hemorrhaging money, and they're doing everything they can to save it. And one of my biggest worries with this managers thing, first of all, my biggest worry with the manager thing is that it's not over yet. Is that they're going to be letting more people go, and they're going to hurt their ability to function. My bigger worry is that they're going to make changes that they can't fix, and that are going to make things, you're getting rid of managers because you think it's going to help. But if that hurts, that's only going to speed up the process. It's only going to make things collapse faster. Circuit City became Carmack. The company probably did. I know the Circuit City that I used to have that I went to, they became a nothing. They just closed down. I think they tore that down. Actually, I think they tore down that Circuit City. Ain't nobody get time for physical copies in the digital world. Yeah, real edgy. You know what? It's funny if I build a video game van or bus and I hang out in there, I won't have room for physical copies. I'm gonna have to switch to digital. Yeah, I thought those changes got them into this mess in the first place. Yeah, doing a lot of shuffling around is probably what hurt GameStop in the first place, and now they're just continuing to shuffle. It is, it's like quicksand. It's like you fall into quicksand, and then the old cliche is that if you struggle in quicksand, you'll sink faster. And I feel like that's what's happening because it's causing less confidence in their stockholders, and the value of the stock is going down. Like, it's just, I feel like it's a problem. I feel like it's turning into a self-fulfilling prophecy. A video game vent. Edgy. Oh, and hello, Almighty Mojo. And hello to everybody who has stopped in that I have not said hello to. It has been a while. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks. And I feel sympathy for the 50 people. I feel sympathy for people who lose their job in a situation that they have no control over. You know, I would hope that they were given the option to take a step down and become standard employees. You know, maybe it was a situation where they had too many chefs, so they knocked them down. You know, they cut a bunch of them. I would hope that they would ask them, look, I know this is weird, but would you like to go back to being a regular employee? If not, we don't have a place for you in management. You know, give them that option. I don't know. I'm worried. I worry about the state of physical video games, because that's another problem, is that I love my physical video games, and the collapse of the main face of brick and mortar stores for GameStop is going to help facilitate the push into more all digital gaming. The solution to quicksand is to devour it. The quicksand will now be stuck in you. Yes, but AR, I assure you, if I've got a lot of quicksand stuck in me, it's going to struggle to get its way out. GameStop has fallen and it can't get up. Hey, Cream the Rabbit, the Hollywood video in my hometown became a mattress store. It's sad because I wanted to go there one day and it never happened. I brought this up on a stream a few weeks ago. I don't like a lot of GameStop's practices. Sonic Link 141, thank you so much. In the hunt with a sub, not a Twitch Prime sub, just a regular sub. Thank you so much. Very, very much appreciated. Welcome to I don't know, the Nibblings. What did we decide that it was Nibblings? We don't have an actual name for the group yet. I don't know, for the crew. No, that's Metal Jesus. I can't take that. What? Rick and Morty stores? Yeah, it does kind of sound like that. I don't like a lot of GameStop practices and how they treat their employees sometimes, but the sucky thing about the situation is there's no competitor with the same notoriety. Yeah. The Silver Crew. Ooh, yeah. How about Silver's Nuggets? How about that? Because we have the image here, but that's supposed to be for oh no! Wait, wow, it didn't work. Huh? Why didn't that work? Hey, none of these are working. Oh, I changed something, and now okay, I screwed up something, so now I don't have any of my buttons that I can use. All right, I have to fix that. To be fair, you need a pretty high IQ to sink your own ship. You can always just buy games on Amazon. Yeah, but it's not the same. I mean, but Fox, for that mentality, I could just go to Walmart and get them for $10 cheaper. Could push the Silver's Nuggets on us. It ain't happening. I'm gonna push Silver's Nuggets on you. Oh God, no, wait, stop. No, I didn't mean it that way. But yeah. So GameStop letting go of 50 managers, unfortunate. Yet another bad sign for the company, and unfortunately, a bad sign for physical gaming. I think that that's the direct impact that this has. I don't think that this impacts video gaming as much as it impacts physical gaming. Silver's medals. Okay, all right, maybe. Just gonna stealth dial Chris Hansen real quick. Yeah, he's gonna walk in there. He's gonna enter stage right with a wine cooler while I'm holding a bottle of wine coolers or something. I like the Greglings. Legend of Daniel, thank you for the 10 bits. I still work at Walmart, and even I get a little weirded out at times. We still sell guns. It's so strange, isn't it? Like I said, if you're in a hunting area, it makes more sense, but it's just so weird. Okay, but we are going to pass that, and we are going to go to viewer topics. We're cruising along today, so we may actually end the show a little early today. But if you have any viewer topics, if you have anything you wanted to discuss, let me know, and we will do our best to discuss them. I'll give you either a short discussion or a long discussion. We'll see what happens. Did you see Rocco's Modern Life Static Cling? It's not out yet, isn't it? Right? I thought that was not out anytime soon. I miss getting retro games for insanely cheap prices. Oh God, yeah. Almighty Mojo. One of the reasons of Mojo that I have considered getting out of collecting is just because it's not fun anymore. You know, I love the hunt. I love the hunt when it comes to video games and going to places and tracking stuff down. But, you know, thanks to cell phones, we don't really have that thrill anymore. But part of the hunt is finding the deals, going to flea markets, going to video game stores and catching something that they didn't realize they have. That used to be so much fun, and now it's not anymore. So that whole part of it is just depressing. So I miss that stuff. That's another thing. I mean, getting games from somewhere like Amazon is more convenient, but they're not gaming centric. And that's why, you can go to Target, you can go to Walmart, but they're not gaming centric. They are the face of physical gaming. Why is G1 so great? I don't know, Lizard. You're familiar with G1. Why is G1 so great, Lizard? I feel like I'm starting a fight in chat. What gaming franchises would you consider overrated? I say this all the time. Resident Evil. I think Resident Evil is a bit overrated. My problem with Resident Evil is I think Resident Evil 1 is overrated. I think the game itself is overrated. And as a whole, the franchise has gotten better, but I do think it's a little bit overrated. Other than that, Mario, you know what? Sonic Link, you say Mario's overrated. Mario platformers, a little bit. I think that whenever a new one comes out, people rush towards it like it's fantastic because it's Mario, but Mario hasn't been super amazing in quite a while. I did not like the new Super Mario Brothers games. I don't know that it's overrated, but I'm about to throw hands. Oh yeah, and Gundam's overrated. Sonic Link, thank you for the 5 bits. So GameStop has exclusives, and that's why I still buy them there. Thoughts on Gamescom? I'll be honest with you. People have been talking about Gamescom. I am so unfamiliar with Gamescom. I thought it was just another convention. Apparently it's bigger than that, or it's like a trade show or something. I'm just not familiar with Gamescom. I've never followed it, ever. It's not the same as hunting for old games. I looked through a bargain bin and found Persona 5 for the PS3. I love it. Can we discuss Gundam's 40th anniversary? I mean, we can, but I'm not familiar with it. I was never like a Gundam Wing fan. I remember when Gundam Wing was a big thing and everybody was like, oh my god, the robots are awesome. And I'm like, oh, Macross is cool too, though. Macross is cool. Remember those tickets you would have to get to buy a game? Yeah, you take the ticket out, you take it up to the counter, and then you go back to the killer cage in the back where they would get you your game. Real Edgy and Sonic, thank you for the 5 bits. It's way bigger than it seems. It's basically E3 2. That's what it was. Yeah, it's like a smaller E3. Yeah, see, I always thought it was just like a trade show. I mean, E3 is a trade show. I'm more into FMA. I started watching FMA, and I got past maybe like 5 episodes, and I just stopped doing it. Street Fighter's boy, yeah, Street Fighter. That's right, the cage. Yeah, I remember that. I used to love going to Toys R Us and pulling the tickets. I remember when they started selling out all of their older stuff, and I got 3 NES Advantage joysticks, Star Tropics, and Super Tennis for the Super Nintendo for $1 each, but they just had them out. Like, I had to walk up with them, and they had them out. And it felt so counterintuitive to go to Toys R Us and pick up an actual physical video game and take it up front. It was so strange to me. I still have that Star Tropics sealed, by the way, and I still have one of those NES Advantage controllers. The robotic sound, the entrance door used to make. Oh God. Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop. I like. That was okay. I didn't watch all of that though. I actually just watched a couple episodes of Yu Yu Hakusho today. Just listen to Men of Destiny on loop. What if retro gaming stores stepped up and took GameStop's place? That would be interesting. That would actually be very interesting to see a retro store be the new face of gaming. You know, modern games, because a lot of retro stores don't bother carrying modern games because the price to profit is not worth it for them. You're only making like $3 or $4 on modern games. So it would be interesting to have a retro store, used store, and focus on that, and let the big box stores, the department stores, have their video games. You could let them sell the new stuff, and then a retro used known store become the new face of gaming. That would be interesting. I actually would like that idea. Yeah, but only if the prices are good. GameStop as a retro vendor, used game vendor, are terrible because the new games are $60 and the used games are $55. That's terrible. You know. Okay, heading out. Going to buy a Persona 5 box. Thank you. You're amazing. Oh, you're amazing. You're amazing. You're all amazing. The R1 is talking Gundams. Talking about your Gundams. I worked in high school. We had Virtual Boy stacked in the aisle. Oh my God. What I would it's the old fantasy for a collector. But what I wouldn't give to go back in time and buy some of that stuff brand new, discount. I can only imagine what it was like when Toys R Us finally said, we need to get rid of all of this TurboGrafx stuff. Oh, wow. Could you imagine buying a Turbo Duo for like $20 because they're clearing it out of there? Buying stadium events back when it was $1 because nobody wanted it and nobody knew the difference between stadium events and world-class track meet. Oh my God. I still need to watch Gundam. Oh, should not have said that. Should not have said that. Yeah, oh God, man. I remember when McDonald's was $1. What was $1? Pepperidge Farm does. Let me ask things. What if they were tasked with being the CEO of a company? How would? Oh, me. How would I save the company? All right. So, what would I do to save GameStop? What would I do to save GameStop?
Your ideas are intriguing.
Almighty Mojo, thank you so much for that. First of all, I would thank Almighty Mojo for the follow, and tell Almighty Mojo that it is very much appreciated. What would I do to save GameStop? I would get rid of most of the crap that they sell when it comes to the nonsense. The toys and the statues and maybe the Funko Pops. I'd probably keep the Funko Pops just because most Funko Pops sections have been scaled down a little bit. All the cups and glasses and shirts that don't fit me and all of that stuff, I would scale back that stuff significantly. I love the idea of turning them into destinations. I love the idea of making GameStop the place you'd want to go. A few arcade machines, Neo Geo machines, stuff like that. Stuff that, vending machines. Put a couple of vending machines in there so that you turn them into places. And again, these are the larger locations. You turn them into places that people want to go to. For everywhere, to do something all over, increase the amount of money that you give for quality trade-ins or reduce the price of used games. When I worked at a video game store, I worked at a game store for about 6 years. New games were $50. We took those games in as trade $20 to $22 while they were still in that window of being new. $22. We sold them for $36. That was always sort of the number that we ended up on. A game that we took in for $20, we sold for $36. That is a significant reduction to the new game price. $50 down to $36. And half the time, actually all the time, these games were in fantastic shape. It was worth it for you to check your local video game store and see if they had any newer games for a discount. After a while, those games dropped. We've regularly, routinely had games that came out 6 months to a year ago for $20 and $25. That was regular. We had a system where those games were available for rent. We had a rental program where you could rent rental games and you could rent used games and you could try them out. When you tried them out, if you decided that you wanted to buy them, we would knock a couple of days of the rental off and then you could buy that copy of the game. Like, we had these programs that worked for the customers. No one cares about newer games being sold at a discount at GameStop because they're $60 new and they're $55 used. That's not enough of a discount to justify, oh, I've got some free time, let me go head over to GameStop and see what they have. It's not worth it. Increase the amount that trade-ins get. Decrease the amount that used games are sold for. One or the other or both combined, because I don't actually know what their trade-in prices are like. I'm fine in this. There's always the cliche, like you take a stack of games and you get $5 for them. Half the time they're all sports games. That's understandable. Yes, your copy of Madden 2013 is worth $0.25. It's actually not even worth $0.25. You're lucky they're giving you $0.25 for it. But they need to be more competitive with some of their trade-in prices. Spider-Man for PS4, my wife bought at $54. Great deal. You just bought a new one and know that you had better quality. I do like the idea of GameStop becoming, having a retro section. I do like the idea of them focusing more on retro stuff and making it more accessible. But you need to have a system for checking these things out. You go to any half-decent retro game store, they know what they're talking about. They will open the games to verify that they are legit copies. They will test them to make sure that they work. These are vital to retro video games. Listen, it's not the same as it used to be. You're not just going to the store and you're buying a Nintendo game and you're saying, oh, let me check out this Nintendo game, and you buy it. At this point, what you are buying is collector's items. You are buying things that are, if you're selling Nintendo games to people, 99 out of 100, it's because they are collectors, which means they need a certain level of quality. You need to be able to provide that quality. You can't just get a game and put it on the shelf and sell it to them. So if you're going to get into the retro game section, you need to have that. It would be nice if you had an employee who was hired specifically for their retro knowledge. Retro stores also offer to clean and buffer games for you. It would be nice if you had an employee that was hired as their retro consultant. As it sounds silly, but you go to a lot of gamer. I can't check anything out right now. I go to a lot of stores, and when if I try and talk about something retro, they normally just kind of brush it off, and what it tells me is that they're not too familiar with the retro stuff. So you need to make sure that you hire somebody at these stores where they're going to deal with retro games. You need to hire somebody who cares about retro games, who knows what's going on, who is going to understand when a customer says, "Can I open this game up to check it out?" They need to know what they're looking for. 99% of their stock will be Mario Brothers. Well, okay, so here, Dr. Juice, about that. I have no problem with stores turning stuff away. Yes, you're right. Everybody that comes in to trade in Nintendo games, they're going to have a Mario and Duck Hunt. You need to pick a point where you say, okay, we can't take those. You know, these are the games that we can take. These are the games that we can't take. I'm A-okay with that. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But yeah, you're going to get to a point, you're never going to turn away a Mega Man 1 or a Mega Man 5 because it's always going to sell to some sort of collector. When you've got a row of 30 of them, it's time to start turning them away. Sorry, Super Mario Brothers 3, you're a fantastic game. But at this point, everybody's got one. And everybody who's going to try and trade in their Nintendo games is probably going to have one. So you're going to end up with a wall of Mario 3s. Maybe have more variety in retro consoles. Well, that's where you would rely on the customers. You're going to need customers to bring stuff in. There are... Honestly, how about a push for the first month that you're going to start, excuse me, that you're going to start doing retro stuff? You give double trade-in value for all retro games. Anything categorized as a retro game. You create a system where people are going to be encouraged to bring their retro stuff in. And then from then on, that helps you build inventory. And then when you've got that inventory, now you can do it. Now you've got a whole system set up. You can make a lounge chat out of Dr. Juice. I would love to have enough Mario Duck Hunts in order to do that. Pokemon Emerald was fake, so the dude took it back and drove to another store and then to swap it out for a legit copy. Yeah. And then, yeah, that's great. But now the other store's got a fake copy of Pokemon Emerald. Problem is the people who work at GameStop don't usually give a shit about. Yeah, and Lizard, and that's sort of the problem. You've got another issue there when it comes to what I would do to fix GameStop. I would probably offer some sort of reward programs for gamers. I want when I go into GameStop, I want the people working there to be passionate about video games. As a CEO or even as a manager, I want to hire people who are passionate about video games. So maybe there's some sort of special reward program for them in addition to their pay where they get better discounts on games. I'm more likely to hire people who care about video games, and I'm more likely to hire people that want to work to keep that job because they want to keep buying video games. This is the other issue all over again. There are a lot of things you can do to bolster everything about GameStop, from their external image to their internal behaviors. Firing 50 managers, I really don't know if that's going to do it. Restructuring alone is probably not going to do it. Oh yeah, Lizard, I just the stream had already started, so I'm not able to. I don't like getting sidetracked looking at social media while the stream is on. No game case policy. Some retro games will give you a lot less if you trade it. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm totally okay with that. I hated the GameStop's old policy for retro games, like for the boxes and stuff, where they would just throw the boxes away. It used to drive me up a wall. Yeah, I trip out when I go to GameStop and none of the employees have ever played some of the classic games. You don't want to shop there. You don't want to shop at a place where you feel like the people don't play video games. You would not shop at a clothing store where the people don't want to wear the clothes that they sell there, because that says something bad about the clothes that they sell there, considering that these people that work there most likely get a discount, and even with that discount, they don't want to buy the clothes. If you went to a restaurant and said, oh, well, what do you think is good here? And the person said, oh, I would never eat here, you would walk out. You'd walk out the front door. You wouldn't do that. So when you go and you find out, like, oh, well, they don't even play video games here. Like, what? Yeah, you think of the comic book store owner from The Simpsons. Yeah, you want to hire the person that knows what they're talking about. You want to hire the person that... we have a place maybe 30 minutes away from here, and they have a video game store in there. It's like one of those sort of indoor flea markets that's open all year long, but only on the weekends. I went there one time years ago and never went back because I looked at the guy and I said, oh, I'm looking for a C100 Pong machine. And he said, oh, I'm not familiar with what that is. I said, okay. I'm looking for Tales of Destiny 1 on the PS1. I don't think I have any of that. I would have to call and see if they have, because we have more stuff somewhere else. So, oh, okay. Do you have, I forget what other game, there was a game for Super Nintendo that I was asking. And he's like, oh, I would have to call and see. And like, I asked him like 2 more things. He's like, I'd have to call and check to see if we have it there. Metal Storm for the NES. I have to call and check. What the hell are you even doing here? You don't know anything about what you have and what you don't have. Why don't you have a database so that you know what is back at the other place? Like, you're being, no offense, but you're being useless. And then you ask for FIFA, and he's like, right here. What grinds my gears? Asked for a good Metroidvania only because I'm a big Symphony of the Night fan. The employee said, what's a Metroidvania? And I cried a little. Yeah, it's my favorite Nintendo character is Sonic the Hedgehog. Oh my god. There was a something, it had happened, and somebody asked me, it was something like that. And I said, like, the games like this, and they're like, oh, like Mario games, and I'm like, okay. Like, I don't fault anybody for not knowing things, but if you work in an industry, if you work in a business where that kind of knowledge is sort of required, yeah, if you work at Boston Market, I question the quality of Boston Market's hires when you tell me that you've never seen a chicken before. Sonic the Hedgehog from the Smash Brothers games? Oh god, yeah. It's like my granny with her Nintendos. You're sitting there playing that Nintendo all day. It's a cell phone, Grandma. All right. I think we're gonna wrap it up there. I think that's gonna do it for today. I know it's a little bit early, but it is what it is. I find it weird that GameStop would hire people who don't even have the basics. But do they ask for that? And that's my point, Fox. Do they ask for that? Is there a video game aptitude test at the beginning of the GameStop hiring process? Because maybe there should be. And if you're going to open up a retro section, there absolutely should be. I think that there should be some sort of prerequisite for retro game knowledge if you're going to open up a retro section in the GameStop. But yes, we are going to wrap it up right now. Thank you everybody for stopping in and for hanging out and for being part of the conversation. I know it's a little bit early, but we got through the earlier conversations quicker. If you are watching this right now and you have not yet, please go ahead and click follow. That's very much appreciated. And if you've got a Twitch Prime sub, go ahead and use that here. It gives you 1 free month, and it helps us out as always. Also, check the links down below and follow me over on Twitter, which is where I post any kind of updates for what we're going to be streaming or what the topics are going to be for this episode, for this show. And follow me on YouTube, which is where I post the VODs of this show, and I post some other fun stuff too, but very, very rarely. We do the show here live. I'm doing this out of order. I need to do this. I need to learn this like a script. If you are watching this on YouTube, also check the links down below. Follow me here on YouTube and follow me over on Twitch. And of course, this is when John raids with a party of 128 people. Welcome everybody as we have approached the end of the stream. Actually, I don't know. Do any of you have topics that you want to discuss? Since we were about to end the stream, but do any? This is the viewer topic portion of the show. So, do any of you have topics that you want to discuss?
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.
I am Cloud101. Thank you so much for the follow. GameStop again? Yeah, Linky. We were talking about what I would do to fix GameStop, and we were going through all of that stuff. Is GameStop willing to pay extra for that knowledge? Is the question? Yeah, exactly. Or give extra discounts. I would work in the retro section of a GameStop if they told me I get a discount on the games that I buy, even though I'm on my way to selling everything. I guess this calls for a little Tetris 99. Linky, you didn't get fired, did you? Linky works at GameStop for anybody who doesn't know. Linky, you're not gonna get fired, are you? You're not gonna lose your job. Heck, I want to thank you and John for showing me Symphony of the Night. I had a blast. You know what? I am Cloud. You are very welcome.
Your ideas are intriguing.
I've had a few different people in the last couple of weeks telling me that they are very appreciative of our love for Symphony of the Night. Hero X 2018. Thank you so much for the follow. Or is it Hero times 2018? Hero by 2018. I mean, I'm still a little peeved about the CTR microchip. Yeah, Lucid, we were talking about that earlier. That was that was the first topic we talked about on the show. Now, if anything, I'm in line for a promotion. Yeah. Unfortunately, everybody showed up just as we were getting ready to end the stream. Feel free to go ahead and watch the VODs.
And I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.
You can talk about all that stuff. Micropayments are okay. Can't get enough of those ghost sounds. There's a few of them there. Parik the Irish. Thank you so much for the follow. We are gonna go though. We are gonna wrap up. I very much appreciate the raid. Some call me Johnny and everybody. Thank you for stopping in. I'm gonna start my ending spiel all over again. So please don't leave before I get this out of the way.
Intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.
Video Cookies. Thank you so much for the follow. This is my ending spiel for the show, so you get to see this part. Thank you, everybody, for stopping in and for hanging out. If you have not done so yet, please go ahead and click follow. That would be very much appreciated. And if you are so inclined, please go ahead and click subscribe.
And I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.
Daiwari Karuga. Thank you so much for the follow. If you don't forget that if you have Twitch Prime, you get 1 free sub a month. Feel free to use that here. It would be very much appreciated. Check the links down below. Follow me over on Twitter and on YouTube. Twitter is where I post all kinds of updates and fun stuff. YouTube is where I post the VODs of this show and also some fun stuff sometime. If you are watching this on YouTube, also check the links down below. Be sure to follow me on Twitch, on Twitter and Twitch. Twitch, we run the show live Fridays 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And go ahead and also click follow here while you're at it. Hey, Uncle. Hey, Greg, are you going to go to AVGC? Probably not. Probably not. We'll talk about that another time. Lala, thank you so much for the 50 closing bits. Also, how Sage is doing fantastic. Sage is my boy, for anybody that doesn't know that. But we're going to go. Thank you, everybody. Have an amazing weekend. Play some fantastic games. I am going to probably spend a good chunk of the weekend playing some Dragon Quest Builders 2. Game Busters UK, thank you so much for the follow. Enigma Crusader, what's going on? I really wish that this raid happened a little earlier. So I feel bad saying goodbye to everybody. But I am going to say goodbye. Have a good weekend, and I will see you all next week.